Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob, and welcome back to episode number 13 of the New Orleans Pelicans MyLeague series here on NBA 2K20. Now, it's been a while since we've checked in with our Pelicans, and today we're not going to necessarily play an NBA game, but we're going to take a look at our scouting report as our scout has gotten back with the second set of scouting here in this series. Now, last episode we took a look at some middle rounders, some early picks. Well, today we're going to be looking more at the cream of the crop, the best prospects who are supposed to be in this upcoming draft. We're going to start off here in Washington again to take a look at Isaiah Stewart. Now, we have been to Seattle before to look at this Washington Huskies squad, but that was to see Jaden McDaniels, who also had a couple highlights in this game. He finished with 8 points and 7 rebounds, but we're not going to focus on him. It's all about Isaiah Stewart today, the power forward / center out of Rochester, New York. Isaiah Stewart, to me, showed that he probably has a little bit more in the tank than Jaden McDaniels. Isaiah Stewart kind of dominated this game. Now, granted, they're playing Houston Baptist here and not playing Gonzaga like we saw in the first episode, but Isaiah Stewart was a beast in the low post, had plenty of highlight plays all over the court, as you can see, on offense and defense. Look at that block right there on Houston Baptist. And on the very next possession for the Washington Huskies, he gets the ball in the low post. There's a little drop step we saw a couple of times and gets that one up and in. And then look at this play. He's sitting there at that free throw line, passes it off the top of the key, sets a screen, rolls to the basket, and flushes it with two hands. So Isaiah Stewart was an animal in this game. Now, take a look at his scouting report. What we got back is his pros are he can contest and block shots, which I agree with. We saw plenty of that on defense here, as he was just a force in the middle of the key. He can make an immediate impact if given the right situation, so that's good to know, but we are already kind of at a log jam with the power forward center position, thanks to Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Jackson Hayes, just a bunch of young guns who could be in that position next year, as well as already having Derek Favors and Jrue Holliday. We're not sure if they're coming back, but they could also be a position right there. But he gives us some flexibility if we do want to go that route. Another pro is he is very athletic, which I saw plenty of in this game. He was just a force. I mean, you can see when Isaiah Stewart's on the court. Some of the cons, though, is he has no jump shot. I mean, other than playing back to the basket, he's really not going to score the ball that well. He's a very subpar passer, so once he gets the ball in the low post, he's not really going to be a passer. He's going to look to score and maybe even turn it over, so don't expect him to put the ball on the floor at all. And one last con we got is he's not good at getting any steals, is what we read, but I mean, if I'm a center, I don't really expect my center to be getting a bunch of steals per game anyway, so that one's not as much of a problem for us. As that wraps up his episode, the Washington Huskies destroy the Houston Baptist Huskies 75-53. Isaiah Stewart, just an animal. We'll look at his stats in 1 second. He had 19 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double, shot 9 for 13, went 1 for 4 for the free throw line, had 5 blocks. I mean, just an absolute menace down there in the post. So take a look at a couple of his highlights. I did like him. Another player you can see on the screen, though, Naziah Carter. We might have to come back to Washington once again and take a look at him. He had another solid game, as this Husky squad does have the firepower to make a run in March. See, here's Isaiah Stewart. He's ranked as the 14th best prospect. See, comparisons, Antone Carter, Carl Landry. So he's a solid bit player. He's not going to be a super stud, it looks like, but he could be a worthy starter. I mean, he has a pretty good, confident build about it. You kind of know what you're getting with Isaiah Stewart. Take a look, taking no business, taking a 3, below average court vision, won't be stealing any candy from any babies. That's a good way to put it. And we haven't seen any medical conditions, which is good. Now we're going to take a step away from the NCAA, and we're going to head over to France, because there's a guard over in France, Theo Maledon, who has a solid build to him. He is a sharpshooter, point guard / shooting guard, as he plays for Asvel, and here they're going up against Metropolitans in some France action. Scouting report on Theo, he has a great vision. He's a playmaker at the point guard position. I kind of saw that in this game, looking at him getting to the basket with the little floater right there. Not afraid to attack, which I like that out of a point guard. I like a point guard who's not afraid to get to the basket while also being a distributor. And he's a very good finisher, is what we read. So that's good to know as well. You need somebody who can finish at the basket. And from the scouting report we got back, he really doesn't have any weaknesses, which, you know, I find that kind of hard to believe, but I'll take a look at some of the things that I saw in this game. I agree with his vision. He has really good vision. He was a very good passer. He knows who's open, who to get the ball to, and whatnot. And he has a very good handle. I don't think he got stolen a bunch. You see him knock down that shot in the corner. Very good handle over the ball. Yes, he is playing against fellow French competition. This isn't necessarily a EuroLeague game, so I'm not sure the competition is going to hold up, but he had very good vision. He's a good playmaker and stuff like that. Some cons that I saw is he didn't shoot the lights out necessarily. I mean, for somebody being a sharpshooter build and having a sharpshooter type game to him, he didn't really pull up that much from deep. A lot of his baskets were scored in the paint or at the free throw line. He reminds me a little of like Lonzo in a way, where he didn't really shoot the ball all that well, as he did just knock down a 3 right there, however, but he didn't really shoot the ball lights out, which, I mean, if we already have Lonzo, I do like Lonzo. I don't know if I'd want to go somebody who has a similar mold. As you can see, that was a very good possession right there. He shot the 3 and then on the other end forced the turnover, and he's not the best defender. So that's what I kind of got from this game. His team did win 79-72 in this one. We'll take a look at his stats necessarily in a second. He had 16 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. I mean, he did shoot 7 for 19, only knocked down 1 3-pointer, which we saw in that good possession he had. He is a very boom or bust prospect, because you'll take a look at his NBA comparisons and be like, wow, he's going to either tap his potential or he's not going to tap his potential, which is a lot like some of these Europeans we see as we take a look at Theo Malden and see like ceiling is Damian Lillard. Now, if we can get a Damian Lillard type player to run the point for the Pelicans, this team will be good in the future. But his floor is a bench player, Langston Galloway. As you can see, he has B- offense, C- defense. That is a very low defensive rating for being a B+ overall. So it just depends if you want to take that risk with Theo Maledon. Now, next player we're going to go is back to UNC Chapel Hill. They have an ACC Big Ten Challenge game. There's the player right there, Cole Anthony. You're going to see him all over the floor when he's in the floor. Cole Anthony is a point guard out of Portland, Oregon. He went to Oak Hill Academy High School, which is, if you know, Oak Hill Academy has bred some pretty solid basketball players. You might have heard of a few of them: Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, Rajon Rondo, Jerry Stackhouse. So Oak Hill Academy is a very good high school that breeds NBA talent. He's listed as a two-way mid-range finisher, so he has a little pull-up game to him. Some of the pros is he's a very freak athlete. I mean, he is a vertical. He can jump. Look at him getting the steal right here, and you know he's going to throw it down with some highlight to it. That's the kind of player you're going to see out of Cole Anthony. He's a very explosive finisher, maybe even the best in college basketball at this point, as you see showed in this game against Ohio State. My scouting report, pros, it's kind of a lot of the same as the original report. A lot of the stuff that our scout brought back, I kind of agree with, and I saw in this tape. Look at him going up there for an alley-oop again. I mean, you don't see a point guard going up for an alley-oop that often. He's usually one throwing the rock. He has very good vision. He's very clutch, as you'll see later in this game. Look, UNC is trailing at this point, but he kind of puts on the clutch. So here's he is deep, and he's going to drive to the lane and throw that one down and get the foul called. Sorry, Weston, that's a poster on you, boy. He would make the free throw, and see the down by 2. He gets the screen, sitting at the free throw line. Down by 2 with 2 minutes to go. He gets the screen. He's going to pull up from 3, and he's going to knock it down from 3 and give UNC the lead. That's the kind of clutch I like to see out of Cole Anthony. Some of the cons, he is very streaky. Sometimes he'll have a good game, but in this game he was kind of slow to start. There's that good vision I saw finding the open man in the corner. That's just good stuff. And he can have a slow start. He did have a slow start in this game. And UNC's first meeting against Duke here in Chapel Hill, he kind of had a slow start and got outperformed by a fellow Duke member we saw, Vernon Carey Jr., the center. So he's kind of streaky. He needs to find that build and find that groove in order to be like an elite talent, which he has the potential to be. Scored 18 points in this game, shot 8 for 20, 1 for 9 from 3. That one clutch three-pointer was the only three-pointer he knocked down. He only went 1 for 4 from the free throw line. Here's take a look at his scouting report. Jameer Nelson, Brian Shaw. I mean, which is kind of surprising for a draft rank 3. He never really has, like, doesn't look like he's going to be that bona fide top guy by his NBA comparisons. Very good offensive player, but a C for defense. I kind of want to go more of the defensive route, which we kind of struggle with. So maybe Cole Anthony's for us, maybe he's not for us. Now, next to last game we're going to see is Georgia versus Memphis. Now, this is a very solid game in the AAC SEC Challenge. We just had to take a look at it, as arguably the number 1 and number 2 prospects are playing this game. Anthony Edwards for Georgia and James Wiseman for Memphis. Now, for this game, it was all Anthony Edwards early. As you can see, just the first points of the game, he drives to the rack and dunks that ball home. Anthony Edwards was flying around the court, but he kind of teetered off towards the end. This became the James Wiseman game. You'll see plenty of James Wiseman highlights in the later going, and I mean, he just took over. It was hard not to notice him. So we're going to start off with Anthony Edwards first out of Georgia. He's labeled a slasher from Atlanta, so homegrown, and he's Georgia's best recruit ever. I mean, 5-star prospect. And he went to Duke because he likes Dwayne Wade and Victor Oladipo, who are both coached by Tom Crean. So he wanted to follow in their shoes and just stay close to home, which I respect. Pros from his scouting report: he's a very good shooter. He's an intelligent leader, which I can kind of see him on the floor. He just kind of knows what he's doing. And he has very quick feet, change of direction, so he can drive, he can stop on a dime. So that's always good to have out of a shooting guard, point guard combo. Which is also kind of interesting that he's listed as shooting guard, point guard, because Georgia had him playing the 3 most of this game. But he also would bring up the ball quite a bit. As you can see here, towards the end of the first half, driving right to the lane. Misses the layup, but I like his little Euro step action getting into the paint. My scouting report on Anthony Edwards: very good shooter, like I agree. He's very athletic, he's smart, he is the leader for this Georgia team. And he's probably one of the more surefire picks you'll see in this upcoming draft. I think if you want to go a really safe route with your top pick, Anthony Edwards is the way to go. I feel very confident he's going to be a player in this league. His cons, though, he kind of fades out at times. Like I said, he had a very good start to the game, but then he kind of fizzled out towards the end of the second half. And he's almost too unselfish. I want to see him get to the paint a lot more and get to the basket, like we saw that very first highlight. I feel like he didn't do enough of that in this game. Now, the other player in this game, obviously James Wiseman. Another player like a center. He's glass cleaning slasher is what he's listed at, from East High School here in Memphis. Penny Hardaway really hit big with this pick. I mean, he's a very solid player. Lucky he got to coach him both in high school and in college. And he was the #1 high school recruit coming out of last year. I mean, look at him getting the paint and hitting the shot. I mean, he kind of took over this game, and I was very impressed with what I saw at James Wiseman. His pros are he's solid mid-range game. He has good eyes, and he's very unselfish for a big man. He had a very good couple of assists in this game I was very impressed with. And he has very solid body control. Like, he's not, I mean, if he's going to get hit in the paint, he has a very good chance of getting an and one, as you might have called that a travel. But look at that slam dunk by James Wiseman. He just took over this game in the second half. His cons: don't get any steals. I'm not really going to think much of that. Look at this pass right here, actually. Look at that, behind the head to his man who's cutting inside. My scouting report: he is a game changer. I mean, this is a very solid center. He doesn't have much of a three-point game, which is kind of a weakness in today's NBA as much. But, I mean, look at him. He just gets boards. He finishes the play. And that's just something you cannot ignore down in the paint. He is, my pros, he's a very top prospect. I would not be surprised if he went #1 overall. If we had the #1 pick, I would be very enticed to take James Wiseman, despite the fact that we already have a top pick in Jackson Hayes from this past year. But James Wiseman, to me, is just a talent you cannot ignore. Another card is he's hard to point out. Well, actually, sorry, I misread that. It's one of my cons I wrote down. It's hard to point out because, for me, he doesn't have much cons other than the three-point game. James Wiseman is just a very solid pick. You get what you get. Could go #1. I don't see him falling outside the top 3. I mean, somebody's going to need a center. This is a very guard-heavy class, but James Wiseman might be the best prospect at the 5 position and in the whole draft. I mean, look at him getting to the paint. That's what I'm talking about, that body control. He gets hit in the back, and he still finishes the and one. I mean, just a solid player. Memphis takes over this game. They're up 77-62 right now. Here he is getting another rebound, getting another putback, as these are mostly James Wiseman highlights in the late going. Anthony Edwards, like I said, fizzled out, and Memphis walks away with the W, 85-69 here in Memphis in this AAC SEC Challenge game. As we take a look at the stats of a couple players. Memphis, James Wiseman, he had 19 points, 12 rebounds. He only missed 1 shot and went 9 for 10 from the floor. 1 for 3 from free throw land. I mean, I'd like to see that be a little better, but maybe with more free throw attempts, he would knock down more shots. Memphis has another player I'll kind of touch on, Precious Achiuwa. I definitely butchered that name, but he had a double-double as well. He could be a solid prospect, too, whenever he decides to come out. And Anthony Edwards for Georgia, he had 10 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. So despite the early highlights, he really fizzled out. He didn't hit a single three-pointer, which is what I kind of wanted to say. He kind of fades in and out every once in a while. But I'm very confident he's a shooter, and he's very surefire. He just kind of had a rough game here in Memphis. I mean, Memphis was overall the more talented team. And so I don't put that much on Anthony Edwards at all. Here he is, James Wiseman, ceiling David Robinson, Fuller, Anderson, Varejao. He's got an A- overall rating, draft ranked 1, B offense, B- defense. That's the most put together build I've probably seen so far in this draft, as he has B ratings for both. Anthony Edwards, look at those comparisons. You know you're going to get a three-point shooter. I mean, Kyle Korver, JJ Redick, this guy can shoot the lights out. He didn't do it in that game, but B+ offense, C+ defense. He has a pretty solid defense to him as well. I mean, to me, that's just, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a three-point specialist who will probably be more suited for the shooting guard position. Now, last game I want to figure out, we're going to go to Australia and see RJ Hampton versus LaMelo Ball. This is a very exciting game. I wanted to go to Australia and catch this game at least once in the National Basketball League. LaMelo Ball, I mean, there's not much to say about him that you already don't know. And RJ Hampton, another solid player, but another foreign guy. We'll start off with RJ Hampton. He's actually from Dallas, Texas, and he was a top high school prospect in this past draft, or in this past recruiting class, but, you know, some shady stuff, you know, some recruiting that eventually led him to Australia to play for New Zealand Breakers. He almost went to Montverde Academy, which you've ever heard of Montverde Academy. That's that's a critically acclaimed high school. They pump out plenty of solid players, always one of the top high schools in the entire country before he decided to go to Australia. He's a point guard, shooting guard. I mean, he's listed as an offensive initiator, which, I mean, if you're looking for a point guard like we kind of are, that's something I'd like to see. Scouting report, his pros, he's immediate start potential. So, I mean, if you draft him, you should be able to put him in the lineup right away. He's very athletic. He has a basketball build to him. I mean, for a point guard, you can just kind of tell who RJ Hampton is. And he's very quick with the ball, can take off the dribble, can get to the basket, which I saw quite a bit in this game. He had a couple of highlights where he was able just to drive, beat his man off the dribble, and take it to the rack. Now, the cons for this scouting report, it says there are none. A couple of cons that I have is he didn't take any three-pointers in this game. You'll see at the very end of the game he takes a three, but it really wasn't a three. It was more of a half-court shot at the buzzer. So RJ Hampton didn't really take a bona fide three to me, so that was kind of interesting to see out of a guard. He's very skeptical on defense. I mean, he had a couple plays where he put LaMelo Ball to rest, but, you know, overall not the most shut-down defensive player. As you can see, LaMelo Ball, look at this play. I like this player. He gets the steal, finds the man in the corner, leads the break, and that is a score right there. As this game was a very solid game. In the second half, this game got so interesting. I mean, this was probably the most fun game to watch out of all the games we scouted here in Australia. It was really fun to watch RJ Hampton and LaMelo Ball go at it. As you'll take a look at some of his highlights down the stretches and see what happens there. RJ Hampton gets the score there. Next possession, New Zealand down by 1 with 6.5 to go in this game. New Zealand breaks, but look at LaMelo Ball getting the strip in the paint on the opposite side of the floor. Here come the Hawks driving. It's going to go in the paint, and eventually LaMelo is going to end up with the ball. He's not guarded by Hampton right here, but look, I mean, he passes it to the open man who drives, and he's going to dish it out to LaMelo. Like 4 seconds to go. 3, 2 on the shot clock. He gets past his man, floats it up in the lane, and gives their team a 3-point lead. This was just a really solid game. And with that, we'll switch over to LaMelo Ball. I mean, there's already much you know about LaMelo Ball. You know, he's listed as an inside-out facilitator. He's the youngest Ball from the Ball family from Chino Hills High School, a former UCLA 5-star commit before he decided to go play in, you know, Europe, and that whole deal went down. One of the top guards in this class, obviously the son of the great LeVar Ball in his mind, averaging all 2.2 points per game in high school or in college, but we won't focus on him, obviously. Some pros of LaMelo: can create his own shot, and he's a sniper. I mean, he's a knockdown shooter, and he shows lots of promise. So, scouting report doesn't have any cons, but most of my cons of LaMelo Ball are kind of off the court. He's very boom or bust. Like, I mean, I think might be one of the most, you don't know what you're going to get picks. He's either going to be really good or he's going to be really bad. And attitude and personality for age is another thing I see. I mean, he has a lot of experience under his belt for being really young, and that can either be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. And another thing I put is competition. Now, he's a really solid player, but he never got to play NCAA basketball. I mean, yes, he played high school at Chino Hills, but I mean, I don't know if he's really faced that top competition like he would have if he went to UCLA. That's really all I got on balls. We'll take a look at the ending to this game, is where it tells you to get interesting. The Hawks are up by 2. RJ Hampton gets fouled. He goes to the line. On his first free throw attempt, he has a really solid chance to be clutch, and he misses the first free throw attempt, so the Breakers are still down by 2. Let's see if he makes the second one. Hampton knocks down the second free throw, so just like that, the Hawks are up by 1. And LaMelo Ball is going to bring it up the court for the Hawks, looking at being guarded by Hampton. I mean, this is just so fun to watch. Just watch these two go at it, take their teams. LaMelo gets a screen. He cuts inside, and he goes up and puts the ball in. That's a clutch play from LaMelo. He definitely has that clutch factor that I saw in this game when it came down the stretch. Now it's RJ Hampton's turn. He's being guarded by LaMelo Ball. Less than a minute now to go in this game. His team's down by 3. He gets the screen left. He's going to pull up from the mid-range and knock it down. So just like that, they're going tit for tat. The Ball and Hampton rivalry here in Australia was real. We heard so much about it. 2 top guard prospects in Australia, and they were able to go at it. This is really good for the National Basketball League. I mean, look at LaMelo Ball's turn. He Euro steps in the paint and throws that one down. That was basically going to be the dagger for the Hawks. We got 30 seconds to go. The Breakers down by 3. This is kind of their last chance. RJ Hampton with the ball. He's going to dish it off to his best three-point shooter in Henry. He's going to try to drive inside, though, and miss it. And they're going to force the intentional foul. LaMelo, that would be the dagger. The Hawks able to hold on here. 6 seconds to go. Here's that one three-pointer by Hampton that I don't really count. And he was really close for it. That ball went in and out. So the Hawks did win this one in a really good back-and-forth game. I wish I could have shown the whole thing, but, you know, obviously this episode would be so much longer if I did. Maybe in the future, if you guys would like, we could stream some of these games, and I can put, you know, we could watch the whole game, chill out, scout the players together. Leave that idea down in the comments if you do like that idea. But LaMelo, he went 14.7 rebounds. He shot 5 for 13. I did overall like what I saw of LaMelo, though. RJ Hampton had the better efficiency. He shot 50%. 12 points, 5 assists. So both guards were able to dish the ball around a good bit too. And overall, I like what I saw out of this game from both players. Take a look at RJ Hampton. His ceiling, John Wall, floor, Raymond Felton. B- offense, C- defense. That was one of the lowest defenses, which has me skeptical. I got RJ Hampton. I couldn't really put him in my top 5 just because of that defensive ability is really low. LaMelo Ball, I mean, if you could just look away from the stuff off the court. I mean, look at that. Boom is Russell Westbrook and floor Elfrid Payton. So he's very boom or bust, which just kind of scares me, which is why I couldn't put him 1 or 2. I put Ball at 3 behind Wiseman and Edwards in my draft board, which we'll take a look at in a second. Here's my draft board. I have James Wiseman, Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, Nico Mannion, Obi Toppin rounding out my top 5. Tyrese Maxey, we saw Theo Maledon, Cole Anthony, Isaiah Stewart, RJ Hampton, Vernon Carey, Jaden McDaniels, N'Faly Dante, and then Jay Scrubb at 14. Those are my picks, and we'll take a look at the mock draft that each Draft Express, NBA.com, and 2K have for us. Currently, there's a lot of separation, a lot of variety. If you take a look at all the mock drafts, they have us taking a separate player. And at the moment, we do currently have 2 picks in the first round because the Cavs have a top 10 protected pick. And right now they're falling out of the top 10. They would be at the number 15 overall selection, so we would get their pick. But if you take a look, I mean, every player in every mock draft has us taking somebody different. So that's something to keep an eye on as the draft goes. You might have to scout some of these players. Now, next game you'll be seeing us play, we'll be playing home against Utah. We're going to get back to our Pelicans to see if they could turn around their season. They're sitting at 12-24 currently. But that's all I really have for you guys in this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the college hoops episode. Trying to take more in-depth dive into the games of basketball outside of just the NBA. Let me know what you guys think. Please like and subscribe to the video. That always helps me out. If you enjoyed, drop any comments you have below. I can't wait to read those. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. It will be a Houston Astros episode. We'll join you guys then. Have a great rest of your day.